Hi, my name is Emily Apria, and this is Jason. He will be standing in as my client today. We're going to be going over 3 different upper body exercises. One is a press variation, so we're going to be using the flat bench press on our Smith machine here. And the way that the bench press works, there's really a few important aspects to remember. One is we want to make sure we have 5 points of contact. So our 5 points of contact are our 2 feet, our butt, the upper portion of our shoulders, and the head. So by making this 5 points of contact, we do have a little arch in the back. Important caveat here to remember is that we would like to make sure that the arch does not happen through straining through the spine, and instead by lifting the chest to create that arch. What creating that arch really does is help keep the shoulders in contact with the bench, but also give space for the scapulae to move in and out so we can reduce the risk of injury. So I will go onto the bench and demonstrate the 5 points of contact for you. So we've got both feet, the butt, and the upper portion of the shoulders. So again, I'm going to lift my chest to create that. When we are setting up for the bench press, you want to make sure that you are at eye line with the bar. And to find the proper grip, we want to make sure that we come down into the correct position so that our thumbs are just about at the bottom portion of the chest. And that's going to be the perfect grip width for us to do. So keeping those 5 points of contact, making sure that the full foot is in contact with the floor, that our butt and the upper portion of the shoulders are on the floor. We're going to unrack the weight and then bring it down to the bottom portion of the pectoralis muscle. So that bottom portion of the chest. Okay? So I will demonstrate now. We want to make sure that the wrists are nice and strong. So we don't want to have wrists that are moved in either direction. We want to have a nice strong wrist. And we're going to come down toward the bottom of the chest and then press to come back up. Again, we're going to come down to the bottom of the chest and press to come back up. Okay, so now that we know the fundamentals of the bench press, we're going to set up for Jason to start because he uses a little heavier weight than I do. All right, so we're going to do our first lightweight set for Jason. And I know you're looking at the weights and saying this doesn't look lightweight, but for him it definitely is. We're going to perform 3 to 5 reps, okay, Jason? And I want to make sure that we take a look at his 5 points of contact. Both his feet are in contact with the floor. His butt is in contact with the bench, and we've got the contact with the upper portion of the shoulders as well as his head. All right, so I'm going to have you reach up, find that perfect grip width. In order to spot Jason, I'm going to make sure I use a mixed grip. So I'm going to have one hand pronated and one hand supinated. This is going to give me the best ability to really help support him. And we're going to bring it down to that mid portion of the chest. Good. 3 to 5 reps here, Jace. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So now that Jason has performed his lightweight set, we're going to set up for the next, which is going to be probably about 85% of his 1 rep max. And our goal is 1 to 5 reps. Okay, so now we have the appropriate weight for Jason. We're going to attempt 1 to 5 repetitions here. I'm going to be taking a look at his form and making sure he doesn't have any changes in his form from that lightweight set. Okay, Jason, remember your 5 points of contact. Beautiful. Pinkies. Let's even out your grip here. Beautiful. All right, we'll lift off. There's 1. There's 2. 3. 4. And 5. That was beautiful. Very good. So I didn't see any changes in his form. He performed that lift with great technical form. So we're going to move on to the next exercise. Okay, so we're going to move on to our row variation. And today we're going to be doing a chest-supported dumbbell row. Now, there are a few caveats to remember here. With the chest-supported dumbbell row, we want to make sure that our spine remains neutral, that our cervical spine also remains neutral, that our chest remains in contact with the bench, and that we engage the abdominal muscles in order to support our back. We also want to take it nice and slow through the eccentric portion of the movement and have a nice, powerful concentric portion as well. So I will demonstrate first. Move my mic. Okay, so the proper positioning for the chest-supported dumbbell row is we're going to keep that chest in contact. We want to make sure that the spine is nice and neutral so that we don't put too much pressure on the knees or the feet. And we want to make sure that everything stays in alignment. We're going to engage that core. Grab a hold of the dumbbells. And we want to think about taking a nice slow eccentric phase as well as that powerful concentric phase. So we're going to come up, pulling it in toward the bench, and then bringing it down nice and slow. Up and into the bench, squeezing the scapulae together. We also want to maintain that downward rotation of the shoulders and then a nice slow eccentric phase to the action. So we're going to set up for Jason. He's got to use a little heavier weights than I do. Okay, so we've now grabbed the appropriate weight for Jason for his light set. I'm going to take the dumbbells and hand them to him so he doesn't have to do any squirming or wiggling off the bench. He can keep his good proper form. We're making sure that this cervical spine stays nice and neutral. The rest of his spine is neutral. His chest is in contact with the bench. The other thing that for Jason, he's a little wider than I am, so his elbows are going to kick out just a tad when he performs this motion, but he is still going to continue to keep that nice, slow, eccentric portion and a powerful contraction. All right, Jason, that weight feels good? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's perform 3 to 5 repetitions here. Good, nice and slow on the eccentric. We want to make sure that both arms are working in coordination with each other. And I do notice a little bit on that right side, it's coming down a little faster, so slow that eccentric down on that right side. That's much better. There's 3, 4. Beautiful, one more. That was beautiful. So other than his right side performing the eccentric phase a little faster, he did change that with the proper cueing. So we're now going to set up with a little heavier of a weight for him to try to go 1 to 5 repetitions. Okay, so we've now moved up. Since this is a single joint exercise, we aren't taking it all the way up the scale to 95%. This is still going to be a challenge for Jason. Either way, remember the proper form, chest is engaged with the bench, our back is nice and neutral, cervical spine is nice and neutral. We're going to keep that slow eccentric, especially on this right-hand side. Are you ready? Okay. Okay. Beautiful. 1 to 5 repetitions here, Jace. Nice and slow on that eccentric. That was gorgeous. 1 more. All right, I think you can do a few more here. That's 2, 3, Form's still looking good. Keep going. 4 and 5. That's great. Beautiful job. All right, so that was the chest supported dumbbell row. One of the reasons we didn't do a barbell row instead for this, for Jason, was because he is dealing with a little bit of lower back issues. So we wanted to take the time and opportunity to still be able to exercise and still do a row variation, but have his chest supported so his back feels nice and safe. With that said, we're going to move on to the next exercise. So for our third upper body exercise, we're going to do the preacher curl. We are using an easy curl bar. We've already got Jason's weight set up, but it's obviously a little too heavy for me to do preacher curls with. So I'm going to be using this lighter, easy curl bar. There's a few things to keep in mind with the preacher curl. We want to make sure that we keep our spine nice and neutral. We want to also make sure, since we're using a pad, we want to make sure that we keep the upper arms in contact with the pad, pressing the elbows in. And by doing that, we're taking that connection of the short head of the bicep and pulling it forward. This is absolutely acceptable when we're doing a bicep move versus like a tricep move where we want to kick those shoulders back and pull the elbows in. So with the bicep move, there is going to be some slight rotation forward of the shoulders, and that's actually anatomically correct and good to do. So we want to allow there to be enough stretch without putting too much pressure on that bicep tendon. So when we're here, we want to make sure that we tuck our chin so we keep our cervical spine nice and neutral. We're going to make sure that we're in a good standing position with both feet in contact with the floor. And we're going to grip a hold of the easy curl bar at an appropriate angle, right? So as we're here, we're going to allow for the eccentric motion. So the eccentric motion is going to be an almost full extension. We don't need to do a full lockout with the elbows, but a mostly full extension of the arms, keeping the upper arms in contact with the pad, keeping that chin tucked and wrists nice and neutral. We're going to bring the bar up to shoulder height, and then nice and slow on that eccentric phase of the motion to an almost full extension. Again, bringing it back up to shoulder height. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to set up for Jason.
You can reach it.
Okay, I'll hand it to you. So when we're here, I want to make sure that Jason's in the proper form. So for him, he likes to take that knee. I'm actually going to have him pull the knee down. And I'm going to have you step with both feet so we can keep this in a proper alignment.
It's not good for my back.
So we're going to remove the seat so that Jason feels a little bit more comfortable.
Sorry.
All right, so Jason's got both his feet on the ground, so we have a nice contact with the ground. Remember that most of our power does come from the ground. We're going to make sure that Jason's spine is nice and neutral. He does have a little rounding here, but this preacher curl is a little low for him. All right, so that should be good. He's got his shoulders pulled forward just slightly. The upper portion of his arms is in contact with the pad, and we're going to keep this beautiful, just like that. We're going to make sure that his chin is tucked, and I'm going to hand this weight to him. Okay, so nice and slow on that eccentric phase of the motion. Beautiful, and then a nice contraction up to the shoulder height. So 3 to 5 is our rep range here. 2, 3, beautiful job. 4, and 5, and down on that nice eccentric. Beautiful. On that last one. So now that we've done the light set, we're going to set up for his heavier set. Our goal with that one is 1 to 5 repetitions. Okay, so now we've moved on to a slightly heavier weight for Jason. We're still going to make sure that he maintains that proper form throughout the whole motion. We're going to keep that back nice and neutral. Beautiful. All right, you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna do 1 to 5 here. Nice and slow, beautiful. 1, 2. Remember 1 to 5 is a rep range here. You still have good form. 3. That might be it. You want to try for 1 more?
No.
Okay. Beautiful job. So that was really good. Jason reached that point of almost failing, and we could have gone for more, but he wasn't quite comfortable to do that. And sometimes you have to listen to your client when they say they're not ready to continue to push past that failure point. All right, that was the end of this video. That was the end of this video with 3 upper body exercises, and thanks to Jason, we have completed them all with some fairly difficult weights, and he maintained his good form throughout. Just a few coaching clues and needed on each of those repetitions. I got you. Just a few coaching cues needed for each of those repetitions. He did a great job. Thank you very much, Jason.